Joining us now are Nima Rahmani, a former federal prosecutor, and technology journalist Jacob Ward. Nima, first of all, what do you make of the jury's first question, finally, after more than a week of deliberating, that they're having trouble coming to a consensus on one of the two defendants?
Well, Elizabeth, I think they have reached a consensus as to the other defendant, which is certainly a positive development. Now, here in California, for a civil verdict, which is what we're dealing with, you only need 9 out of 12 jurors. So it is surprising that you can't get that consensus. Now, we don't have an Allen charge yet, which is what the judge will instruct the jurors. But here in California, it's a lot softer than other states. In most states, the judge will say something to the effect of, if you're the minority, you should reconsider your position. The cost of retrial is expensive. But here it's a lot softer. And we're not quite there yet, but I expect maybe as early as tomorrow, the judge will issue a ruling saying that, keep an open mind, reconsider your position, but don't change your mind just to reach a verdict. So again, not as strong, but again, as we progress, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursday, at least with respect to one defendant, Elizabeth, we may have a hung jury and we may have to do this all over again.
Jacob, why is it taking this jury so long to deliberate? Is the case complex, and do you have a guess as to which of the two defendants they are having a trouble coming to a consensus on?
Well, it is not at all surprising that it is so difficult to do this, Elizabeth. This is an incredibly futuristic issue, one that's going to set the stakes for generations of people. This is, I think, akin to, the questions of whether or not big tobacco was liable for cancer deaths, and so, with cigarettes, or whether car companies need to put seatbelts into cars. It's that scale that these folks are dealing with. When I think about it, I think about the history, and I'm sure Nima would agree with this, right, is that there's a history in the United States of really being very good at regulating against financial loss and physical harm. We're good at money and death. We don't do behavioral harm very easily. That's a really hard thing. And so I think it's not at all surprising this is the case. Now, which of these defendants is probably the source of more difficulty for the jury? I mean, I'm just guessing here, but it's probably YouTube. YouTube comes up much less often in the testimony, comes up much less often in the discovery. I think it's probably Meta that they are finding a consensus on, but I would imagine that YouTube, even though it is, the biggest video site in the world, is probably the one that's a little harder to think about here.
Yeah, YouTube, the lawyers for YouTube argued in opening arguments, we're a streaming platform. We're more like Netflix than we are like Meta's Instagram or Meta's Facebook. And of course, with Meta, we've had years of disclosures and whistleblowers talking about the fact, and there were devastating emails introduced when Mark Zuckerberg testified, showing that internal emails that people at Meta knew that young kids below their age level were on that site, and they were actively targeting and recruiting them, Jacob, to come on board.
That's absolutely right. I mean, there is this incredible amount of discovery. I mean, as a technology journalist, I have to say I was really looking forward, is a weird phrase to use, but it is. I was looking forward to January and beyond because we knew that discovery would give us this unprecedented look inside these companies and how they make decisions, how they talk about kids when no one is listening. It's that sort of discovery that really sort of has laid the groundwork for this kind of case. But I would also point out, just because YouTube isn't necessarily mentioned as often here doesn't mean that there isn't a tidal wave of civil action coming against them as well. This is the first of an estimated 1,600 plus cases. That's school districts, that's attorneys general, that is teachers unions, that's all kinds of folks coming together on this question. And so I think this is just the first gush of water from what is going to be a very powerful pipeline of law.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.